G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Arsehole? Let's go. Am I the arsehole for wanting to play D&D online with headphones in? My 34 female partner, 34 male of 15 years, is blaming me for his ongoing depression because I play D&D online with headphones in. I've played D&D for years, one casual homebrew campaign and one recent Curse of Strahd campaign. My partner always said that he wants lots of kids, and last year our first was born. I stopped playing until I wasn't breastfeeding anymore, and then attempted to return to the homebrew game one Saturday a fortnight. While I was pregnant, he was suddenly demanded to meet everyone that I was playing with and see where we were playing. When I tried to return after giving birth, he resented me going to the game, would often try to delay me going, and would sometimes call and interrupt the game, for minor issues. On the Saturdays I did not play, I was in charge of baby's care and bedtime while he had drinks and games with his friends. The Strahd game started after baby was born and initially was played in our home, but became impossible for me to concentrate on the game with the baby around, so we moved to playing at a different house. He still seemed to be leaving on time and would call and interrupt the game, even if the baby was with a sitter. With COVID, I have been playing online in a different room with my headphones in. Usually, I arrange for the grandparents to have the baby, because otherwise I still find myself interrupted too much to focus on the game, max 5 hours. 2 weeks ago, the game was cancelled, but the group still chatted. I had headphones in, and my partner kept trying to interrupt and ask me things, which splits my focus, so I was getting annoyed. Afterwards, we talked about it, and he said that he doesn't like the headphones because it excludes him. It's making him chronically depressed, and that there is no point in getting therapy for the depression if I'm going to keep doing the thing that causes it, which is isolating myself and putting the headphones on to play D&D. The following week, I tried without headphones, but it's so hard to focus on the game, especially around him and baby, that I was brought to tears, and we only played for 2 hours, but he was still unhappy about it. He says I need to adjust my standards about how I play, but I want to be able to focus and immerse properly in the game. I've already changed the hours that I play and tried without headphones, but it doesn't work. At the same time, he's been increasingly concerned about IT security, so I currently can't use my laptop. He reset my iPad and phone number multiple times, and he wants me to get a new phone number. I've also, at his request, reduced my work hours so I'm more readily available for the baby, even though I had full-time work and he is technically unemployed but trading crypto. I changed what I can change for him, but I don't want to give up D&D or play in a less engaged way because I enjoy it so much and lean on it for my mental health. I want him to get therapy, but have I been the arsehole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the arsehole. He says I am causing his depression by excluding him from my D&D games. I am annoyed when he interrupts them, but I don't want to change how I play. Now in the comments, your husband needs therapy. These requests are unreasonable. He gets to have private time with his friends, but you don't? He's refusing therapy because he doesn't want his therapist to help him actually deal with his attachment issues. He'd rather you just appease him. On top of that, he's being very controlling with your technology. That's a massive red flag. Either he's up to something illegal, or he's installing spyware to track you and listen in, or he's just extremely paranoid with high anxiety, which he needs help for. I don't want to say that these are abuser red flags, but he is being controlling, especially about electronics, and he's isolating you from friends. I'd start locking the door in addition to putting in headphones, and then offer to stop locking it if he gets therapy. Not the arsehole. I'll say it. These are abuser red flags, and I'll also add that he is pressuring her to reduce her hours at work and possibly leave her job, which is an indicator of financial abuse. I know someone that this happened to, and her partner did almost the exact same things in the exact same way, throwing tantrums anytime she spent time with her friends until she didn't have friends anymore, pressuring her to leave her job even though she was the breadwinner, before escalating to full-on physical violence towards her and her children. The impacts are huge even decades later. Not the arsehole. He's isolating you. It's abusive. He's abusive. You need to get yourself to a safe place away from him. That's my feeling too. His messing around with OP's electronics is a major red flag. and wanting her to change her phone number. If she does, he'll probably demand none of her friends are allowed to have the new number. His depression comes from him, not you having a life outside of him. He just sounds jealous of your playing. He may be excluded, but that's a him problem, not anything to do with you. Not the asshole start to finish. Sincerely, someone living with depression. Totally agree. When I'm depressed, I sometimes have these feelings about my lovely fiancé. If only he martyred himself and had no life, I wouldn't be depressed. But that's just mental illness talking, and no one else needs to be dragged under because of it. He doesn't have the right to ask you this stuff just because he's depressed. Further down in the comments, OP adds their own comment and says, OP here. So I have the opportunity to move into a house only 2 minutes drive from where my brother lives, which I'm going to do. I can take my baby and pets there, but it's next month. That's also when my credit card is due for renewal, and the new one is going to be posted to my brother's house instead of me. I am setting that up to move out. I have tried to talk to my partner and present 2 options, get therapy or break up. He's taking it kind of weirdly. First, morose, but now seems to think it'll all blow over and we'll quote-unquote work it out on our own without a therapist. That will not happen. There have been multiple tries over the last 2 years. I'm going to let him calm down for the weekend because I'm hoping I can get an uninterrupted Curse of Strahd game in after this talking good leaving, but we'll see. Work knows what's happening. I've also emailed my partner's psychiatrist with details about his behavior, so if he won't go to therapy, at least someone knows. I won't log in very often because of lack of opportunity, but I really think I'm going to leave. Thank you so much to those that replied. I was trying to think of something I hadn't tried, some other way to play D&D and still keep him happy, but I shouldn't have been. You just start to doubt yourself when you've been stuck in the mists for a while. And now, onto the update. Hi folks, just wanted to offer you a little update since so many of you offered the perspective on reality to get myself and my kid into a better place. So I gave my ex the ultimatum that either he and/or we get therapy or we separate. He chose no therapy because therapists always take one person's side, so I forced the separation. He moved out 6 weeks ago, I've been in my new home for a month, and it's like the fog has lifted. Life is basically better in every way. The more time I spend away from him, the better I feel. I'm back up to almost full-time hours, which suits me well with a toddler. I have significantly more freedom and am going to make our home beautiful for the 2 of us. Since the separation, some of the highlights of his behavior include not packing anything at all with almost a month's notice until the last 4 hours before he had to leave. When he came to visit our kid at my home, he already knew where I would be living. He wanted me to look up the closest train station, the bus route, and the direction for him instead of figuring that out on the 3-hour trip himself. He walked into my home like he owned the place, laid on my bed to pat the cat, raided my pantry, said he was going to take my remaining tea because I don't drink it and he does. As I said no, it's for guests, and after our child was in bed, offered to cook everyone, himself, myself, and my 3 friends serving as guardians, dinner out of my freezer and still packed kitchen. I found a journal of his while I was packing his things. Turns out he did think I was having an affair at D&D. His reasoning was that I was always happy after a game, and he'd noticed changes in my appearance and behavior, which, for the record, he had requested I do a few weeks earlier. Also turns out, his version of enough sex in a day is 3 to 5 encounters. He paid a junkie down the street for a blowjob when I was pregnant. He seems to have felt bad about that. At various points in our conversations, he blamed me for trying too hard in the relationship, for misinterpreting his actions and words, even direct quotes, for not booking a therapist for him, and for not assuming the best of him anymore. The kiddo is doing great though. She hasn't actually noticed his absence at all and is having the best time in the new house. I'm also going to turn the dining room into a Dungeons and Dragons and dining room because I can. So thank you. I know a lot of you read these things just for entertainment, but seriously, thank you. And now in the comments, quote, he paid a junkie down the street for a blowjob when I was pregnant. He seems to have felt bad about that. Girl, WTF? OP, please be sure to get tested if you haven't already. And OP says, don't worry, results came through Wednesday, all in the clear. Figured I deserved a small bit of luck on my run. Quote, therapists always take one person's side. Only an asshole would be convinced of this. Well, he's right. They would not be taking his side since he is terrible. The therapist won't take sides, because they are not there to win an argument or decide who is the asshole, they are there to try to solve the issue. Especially not if it was his individual therapist. They'd tell him if he was doing things that were unhealthy or damaging to his relationships, but it would still likely be framed in reference to him, and not just that he was wrong and OP is right. Quote, the kiddo is doing great though. She hasn't actually noticed his absence at all, and is having the best time in the new house. How bad you gotta screw up as a father when your daughter doesn't even notice you gone? He was unemployed and she had to ask the grandparents to watch the baby or get a sitter whenever she wanted free time to play D&D. X would often interrupt and allow baby to interrupt too. Why was I not surprised to learn that he was into crypto? Great update, OP, but make future visits outside of your home and change your locks. OP replies, I'm content to let him visit in my home with other witnesses present until Christmas. It will let him see what he's missing, and I have portrait photos of our deceased cat who passed last Christmas that I'm going to hang in the lounge room where he usually spends his visits, staring down at his preferred chair. I wasn't allowed to hang them up before because he didn't like how they made him feel, but it's my house now and I want to see them. Petty, maybe, but I do want his photos on display. Our next post is titled, Am I the Asshole for Accepting a Job? I recently split from my ex after 10 years together. It was a fairly amicable split. He's been helping support me and my daughter since we split with money here and there, which has helped me a lot. I lost my job due to COVID and was taking an accountancy course. However, now I'm a single parent, money is extremely tight, and I can't afford the exams to finish before my October deadline. I recently found out X actually cheated on me and is living with the girl that he cheated with. I'm not friends with her, but she's an acquaintance. We had a big argument, and since then, he has stopped helping me with money. In addition to this, my benefits are about to drop by a significant amount due to COVID relief scheme ending. This has left me in a dire situation. I honestly can't afford to live in my home and support me and my daughter. My ex's oldest friend saw me at a bus stop and gave me a lift home last week. He asked how my studies are going, and I told him I couldn't afford to finish, which sucked because I had a lot of hopes riding on getting the qualification. He told me he is starting his own business and offered me a job. It's a great opportunity, well paid and great hours. I accepted, and he's arranged an interview for me. I will have to go through the same process as any other applicant, and that friend won't be conducting the interview, so there will be no favoritism. I've been so relieved and excited because of this, it honestly is going to save my life. My ex found out about the job and went mad. He's telling me it's inappropriate me working for his friend, even though it won't impact his life at all. He doesn't see his friend on a regular basis, and me and his friend have never and would never discuss or gossip about my ex. He won't see me or hear about me. He said the friend is just trying to sleep with me, which is highly doubtful, but even if he does, I would never go there because it's my ex's friend. I've also found out that before he offered it to me, the friend also offered the job to my ex's new girlfriend. Friend has since said that I am a better fit for the position, so if I'm interested, she won't be offered the job. I feel so torn because this is destroying my ex's relationship with his friend, but this is an amazing job opportunity which could lead to an incredible career. I can't afford to turn it down. Am I the asshole if I accept the job? Now in the comments, not the asshole. Sounds like he's upset that you got the job over his mistress. You take that job and do what's best for you and your daughter. And OP replies, I think so too. Thank you. By the way, you are not destroying his relationship with his friend. He is doing that all by himself with his behavior. He chose to react the way he has, you didn't force him to. Not the asshole for living your best life without your ex. People generally dislike when someone they used to have considerable control over becomes independent. Do your thing, do it well, and don't look back. And OP says, I honestly felt he was using the money to control me. He knew that I relied on him. He was very controlling in the relationship, and when he found out about the job, he offered me the money to complete my accountancy course. I turned it down because I feel uncomfortable taking money from him now. Thank you. That would be financial abuse. As long as you were under his thumb financially, you couldn't go anywhere until he was done with you. Despite what any other commenter says, do not take that money. Financial abusers often hold money over their partner/ex-partner's heads so that they feel indebted to them. Him attempting to give you money is his way of trying to say, I am not done with you yet. So keep being a queen. Get that job, make that cheddar, so you and your little one can live your best life, not the asshole. And now on to the update. Hi, I had a request for an update, so here it is. I took the job and haven't looked back. I've been there a month and I love it so much. The job, my team, I feel like I'm reclaiming my self-esteem in my life. The job itself is incredibly rewarding. I'm making a difference and doing something truly worthwhile. The company I work for is fantastic. They are fully supporting my education to grow within the company. I've already crammed my CV with certificates and I'm learning to drive. Looking back, I can't believe that I even questioned whether I should take it. I feel like this is the beginning of a beautiful future for me and my daughter. My ex reacted as I expected. He blew up and threw a few threats around, and he stopped talking to his friend. I've accepted that his reactions are his choice though, and not my responsibility, and friend agrees, so I'm not allowing him to spoil things for me. He can't manipulate me anymore. It feels good to take back control. Thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. It may have seemed obvious to most of you what I should do, but after 10 years of being emotionally abused by this man, I honestly couldn't see it myself. The replies I got really helped open my eyes to how much I was allowing him to control me even after we split, and empowered me to put my needs and wants before his. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Our next post is titled, Am I the Arsehole for refusing to babysit for my elder sister even though she'll pay me very well? Hi Reddit. I, 16 female, have been asked by my sister, 22 female, to babysit. She's offered to pay me a good amount per hour with double on holidays. Now, the problem is, I couldn't handle it. Her kids, 5 male and 2 female, are a bit energetic, to put it lightly. They're a bit of a handful, really. The youngest one isn't even potty trained, and while I do love children, I am not wiping their bums. I just don't want to take responsibility for someone's well-being, especially if things go wrong. I expressed this to my sister, who immediately burst into tears, saying she needed me as she needs time to herself as well. I told her I understood, but now she's complaining that I've rejected the offer, even though she'll pay me more than I'll ever deserve. I'm torn on this. My mum completely understands my point of view, but my dad says that it wouldn't hurt to help out from time to time. So Reddit, am I the arsehole? And now in the comments, not the arsehole. You are not their parent. It is not your responsibility to take care of them because she wants personal time. If she's really paying more than a normal sitter would get, then she should have no problem paying a professional. OP says, she says her kids aren't used to strangers, mainly the younger one, which was a pandemic baby, and that I'll be the perfect fit. You said no, your mum backs you up, end of discussion. You already said you don't feel like you could provide the best possible care and it stresses you out. No means no. I've read the other answers as well, and while I absolutely think you're not the asshole, after narrowing down your worries, I may suggest a compromise. Would it be plausible if she hired an actual babysitter and had you chill at her house with them so that the kids wouldn't be alone with a stranger and therefore feel more comfortable while the actual sitter takes responsibility and wipes bums and you were there for the emotional support for the kids? Your sis could pay the sitter the usual rate and you would get as much as you would have gotten more if you were alone. I.e., if she now wants to pay you 25, the usual is 15, then hire a babysitter for 15 and give you 10. Of course, only if you would like to and would have time. You are still not the asshole, even if you tell me my suggestion is bullcrap and I can go handle my own clusterfuck of problems. Edit to add, or maybe even just until the kids get used to said sitter, provided it's the same one every time. And by the way, what about the kid's dad? And OP replies, "That's a wonderful idea. Thank you so much. Their dad hasn't been in the picture for a bit, I'm afraid. Don't know too much about the situation as it's a touchy spot for her." Not the arsehole. Yes, it would be nice of you to help out, but if you don't want to, then that's fair enough. OP says, "I just don't think I could handle the responsibility. I'd be too scared of messing up because it's someone's kid and you don't mess with that." I'm a parent, and when my kids stay with my grandparents or aunts, I'm only really bothered that they come back alive. It's not someone else's job to make sure that they eat well, go to bed on time, etc. But like I said, if you don't want to, then it's all good. You don't need a reason to say no. Not the arsehole. She can pay an actual babysitter if she wants alone time. Unfortunately, being a parent is a full-time job, stressful and difficult, but a job she chose. If your dad says it wouldn't hurt to help out, then why doesn't he volunteer to babysit? Do not feel guilty. 2 energetic kids, one of which isn't potty trained, are difficult for anyone, let alone someone who doesn't want to be a babysitter anyway, to handle. Also, the "pay you more than you'll ever deserve" line is absolutely disgusting and not a way to get someone to do you a favor. That line alone should wipe any guilt you may have about saying no. And now on to the update. Hi Reddit, thanks for the advice. I talked to my sister and told her about my worries a few days after. By then, she had started to calm down and look at the situation a tad more rationally. My dad also agreed that perhaps I'm not as ready as he thought that I'd be. He's kind of traditional, thinks all women love children and want to have them, and should take responsibility for them. I mean, I do like kids, but I'm just not ready for them full time. After I asked him if he was willing to volunteer my time, why can't he volunteer his own? He became quiet and thought it over before agreeing with me. About the lockdown baby, another lovely Redditor came up with an amazing plan which both my sister and I are trying. The babysitter is lovely and he's around my age as well. He is much more confident than me with this stuff. So, hoping that something might happen. Doubt it though. Thanks for all the help, Reddit. Now in the comments, it's always good to see a happy update. Sounds like you handled it really well, and your family is very open to considering your side. I hope the plan works well. It seems you're not the arsehole is turning into no arseholes here. Rule of thumb, don't flirt with people at their place of work. The boy is working, so... And yeah, that's all we have time for today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed this update. I do hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, as always, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I hope you guys have a lovely day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I will see you in the next one. See ya!